Nemesornik is back! We are returning! We will be back! We are back! We are back, everybody, for another video here for our Xenos Day of Warhammer previews. That's right, Games Workshop is launching out every single data sheet in the game right now. All the rules, they're right here. Index Hammer, here we come. And we're coming to you live right now, going through every single index as it releases in real time, giving you our live commentary. We are on day number 4 of live streaming. We got 2 more to go after this, Drukari and then Votan. So don't go anywhere. Me and Mr. Siegs, the robot himself, are going to break down the Necrons for you. Let's go!
Games Workshop finally provided for the Necrons. It's been 2 editions in a row where I felt a little miffed. Games Workshop has given Necrons more love than the last 2 editions combined. In this index, it's amazing. I love it. There's so much in here. Necrons finally have multiple playstyles. They have so many data sheets that are viable. I love this thing.
I feel like every time I've done a Necron review with you, every data sheet, every codex, every whatever, it's been like, yeah, they gave us this. This is kind of cool, I guess. Now I can feel your excitement.
This is gonna be the stuff, all right? This is the Necrons, okay? You ready?
Okay. No,
this is the Silent King's loyal followers.
I'm not ready.
All right, so before we dive in here, if you like this type of 10th edition content we've been doing throughout the day and throughout this whole week, please give us a like, tell your friends about us, subscribe to the channel, and comment below letting us know why you're hyped about Necrons, what you like the most about the rules that you're seeing. All of that massively helps our channel, and if you want more content like top 3 combos or state of the factions or joining our awesome community, we have the War Room in the description below, thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial. We're pumping out tons of content and soon games as well. Right, Nick?
Absolutely. We're getting points tomorrow. You know what that means? We're getting games tomorrow in the War Room, in the secret service room where all the magic stuff happens.
And you will be glad to know that, guess what? Necrons vs. Space Marines is the first game. We're playing it live tomorrow. It's going to happen.
Necrons vs. Space Marines. All right, you heard it here first, folks. You know what? You don't even have to pay for this. You can check out right down below in that description for a 3-day free trial. You can watch it. You can check out all the combos, all the content. Join the Discord server. Become part of all of the hype train that is taking us to 10th edition. And, you know, if you decide that's not for you, you can always just cancel. But you know what? You won't do that because it's awesome.
It is awesome. And there's going to be tons of awesome Necron content. Get ready for it.
Absolutely.
All right, Nick. You ready for this?
Bring me to the Nemesor.
I'm the Silent King. You're the Triarchical Mynheer.
No, I'm Nemesornik. It's in the title.
You are... Which one are you? Are you the Scythe of Dust?
Scythe of Dust sounds pretty cool.
Scythe of Dust is cool. All I less cool than that.
I'll be Scythe of Dust. That sounds dope.
All right, let's go ahead and dive right in here, starting with the army abilities.
Let's bring us to the top.
All right, so army-wide rule. It is reanimation protocols. If your faction Necrons at the end of your command phase, so after the Battle Shock step, which is important to note, each unit from your army with this ability activates its reanimation protocols and reanimates D3 wounds. And you apply these wounds one at a time. So if there's a wounded model, you keep applying until they're fully healed, and then if you have extra wounds remaining, you bring another model back at 1 wound, and then keep applying wounds, so on and so forth.
Okay, so basically this is the new reanimation. It changes every single edition, and in your command phase, you're gonna heal D3 wounds back on your units. So like bring back a couple warriors, heal a destroyer up from a little bit. That's cool.
Cool. Guess what? There's 1,001 rules that synergize with this. It's way more powerful than this basic thing that they showed in the army preview. So we're going to come back to this a little bit later when we get into those rules. But there are some wild synergies with reanimation. Just trust me on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the name of the game for these Necrons. How busted can we make a D3?
We can make an immortal army, okay? Here we go. Then we've got the detachment rule, which didn't seem as powerful on the surface. It was if a Necron's character is leading a unit, you get +1 to hit for that unit, which is a good ability. +1 to hit shooting combat. But once again, there are rules that interact with this as well.
I wonder if Necrons have a lot of characters.
They also have a lot of characters, and guess what? A lot of them are actually very good.
Let's talk about these strats.
Let's get into the strats here. So 1 CP Protector Protocol, the Eternal Guardian. It's used in any phase when a Necron infantry character dies. You just stand them back up. You can only use the strat on that same target once per battle, but that's enough.
So we were just talking in the Eldar channel just a couple of videos ago, and we were talking about all the precision shots you can just get there to end characters. And you're telling me that you're just going to 1 CP, and he's back.
Yeah, exactly. So like my units that have characters, they're going to string the characters back so they're out of line of sight. But if you manage to get line of sight, you try really hard with your fast Eldar shenanigans, and you're able to kill one of them. 1 CP, they stand back up, and they attach right back to the unit.
Rude.
Yep. All right. So, Protocol of the Hungry Void, 1 CP, fight phase. 1 Necrons unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, +1 strength for their melee weapons, which doesn't seem like much. But if a Necron character is leading your unit until the end of the phase, +1 AP as well.
Okay, so
+1 strength,
I
+1
feel
AP.
like there's a theme about you really want characters to lead units. It kind of unlocks your army's ability to do stuff.
Yep, and there is also an enhancement, which we'll get to, which allows you to count as being led by a character. So you'll get this other benefit too.
Okay.
Yep, it's very strong. So Protocol the Conquering Tyrant, this is in your shooting phase. If you're within half range, you're going to reroll wound. You're going to reroll wounds if you're in half range, or if a character's leading the unit, at full range you get reroll wounds.
What the bajangles? Reroll wounds at full range?
Reroll wounds. That's a good rule. That's better than Necrons have had for shooting in a while. One CP.
I'm assuming like a Destroyer Lord could probably join Destroyers or something.
He definitely can.
If you want to do that.
He 100% the Destroyer Lord with 3 heavy destroyers, with the Exterminators. Gonna pump out 36 shots, re-rolling wounds for 1 CP.
Or like 20 Warriors, it's just
20 Warriors can do it.
A lot of shots.
A lot of stuff can do it.
Immortals maybe.
Yeah, it's very strong. 1 CP Protocol, the Undying Legions. This is the money. This right here is what you are building around, specifically Warriors and Lich Guard.
For all of these not Necron players, this is the one you got to Vect. When he says this is the money, that means this is going to cost him 2 CP.
This is the really, really good one. So your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase just after an enemy unit has resolved its attacks. 1 Necron's unit from your army that had 1 or more of its models destroyed as a result of the attacking unit's attacks. Your unit activates its reanimation protocols and reanimates D3 wounds. If they're led by a character, it's D3 + 1. And you're saying D3 + 1 or D3. Once again, not that impactful, but just wait. There's going to be more ways to impact this. All right, Protocol of the Sudden Storm. This one is in your movement phase. You pick a Necron unit. It gets the Assault keyword. So that means it can advance and do the new type of mission actions, which could be very useful for you, or just lets you get on the objective and still shoot. And if a character's leading it, you reroll the advance as well.
All right.
It's cool. It's situational, but when you really need it, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then the last one is 1 CP Protocol of the Vengeful Stars. In your opponent's shooting phase, after an enemy unit has resolved its attacks, you pick a Necron unit that lost 1 or more models, and it can shoot back. And if it's led by a character, it ignores cover as well. One of the few ways Necrons can ignore cover.
Okay. So you got ignores cover, you got reanimations, you got characters coming back to life, you've got extra strength and AP. That seems like a pretty good suite of strats.
This Undying Legions one is outstanding. On top of that, the reroll wounds one is the other one that's super good. The other ones are situational. When you need them, they're awesome. But those two are the ones that I'm spending most of my command points on.
So none of these strats are like super game breaking, but they're all very good.
They're value adds. This is the one right here that
you keep talking about that one.
It puts your reanimations over the edge, and we'll get to why. So keep Undying Legions in your brain. Enhancements.
I don't want Undying Legions in my brain.
Keep them in your brain, okay? Be a good Nemesaur.
Veil of Darkness. This is a classic. Let me guess. You pick up your unit and it teleports over there.
Yep. And the only difference is the timing is a little different. It's at the end of your opponent's turn. You pick them up and then you'll bring them down in the reinforcement step of your next movement phase, just 9 inches away. And the other thing is you can't use it if you're in engagement range. So if you're stuck in combat, you can't just take them out and then put them back down again. Nice. So its timing's a little bit different, and you can't do it on a unit engage range. So it's a little bit worse than it has been, but still great mobility tool for Necrons.
And we got a $2 super chat from Frosty Forge. Appreciate you, Frosty. When Sieg smiles talking about an army, I get scared. Me too.
Me too. This guy is scared.
He's
living in fear.
I'm here to study the Necrons. My Nemesaur Nick powers.
So, Hypermaterial Ablator, this is another one that I really like a lot. Necron's model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, models in the unit have stealth, so -1 to hit from ranged attacks. And if the attacker is more than 12 away, you just get the benefits of cover. So you could be out in the open with the unit, but more than 12 away, everybody has cover, and your stealth as well.
That's a great just bonus. Like, your whole idea is going to be keeping these units alive so you can reanimate them, so just add stealth and cover to it.
Necron's defense previously for Warriors was...
a 5-up invul.
Hopefully I'm dense cover, and then I have a 5-up invul. Now it's stealth, cover, and then there's going to be more. A lot more. Sovereign Coronal. This is the one I was talking about, which interacts with the count as being led by a character. So while a friendly Necron unit is within 6 of the bearer, that unit counts as being led by a Necron character. So not only do you get +1 to hit, because that's the detachment rule. But on top of that, you also get the second half of those stratagems, the second benefit.
You'll count as having a character. So this is pick a unit within 6. Could you?
No, it's not pick. It's an aura of 6 inches.
Oh, it's an aura. Oh my god!
It's an aura of 6 inches of everything within that range counts as being led by a
character. Would this work
character.
on like your tanks and stuff?
So your tanks, your monolith, your Silent King.
What?
Yeah, plus
your
1
Silent King.
Your Silent
Who's
King.
joined? Which character is joining your Silent King?
He is the sovereign coronal.
Oh my
it is.
God.
He is sovereign.
I want to have this upgrade.
It is a very good upgrade. I expect it to be expensive. The Sempiternal Weave is the last one, and Necron model gets it. The bearer has a Feel No Pain 4+. This can go on any character. Catan no longer have the restriction where you can't put a
I was
thing on
thinking
them.
Command Barge, and you went for Catan.
So Catan are half damage.
Are they not epic heroes?
The Transcended is not the normal ones are epic heroes. The Transcended is not an epic hero, so you could put this on him. I think that's going to probably be FAQ'd away, so I wouldn't count on that existing. But right now, half damage for a Feel No Pain, that's quite tanky.
You don't say.
And then, honestly, you probably put this on, like you said, the Command Barge. It doesn't have Lone Operative, so it can be targeted, but with a 4 of Feel No Pain and Reanimation to heal it, it's quite tanky.
Yeah, it tanks.
All right.
Pretty pictures.
Necron
He
Warriors.
doesn't even care about the pretty pictures.
We're going straight into the data sheets here. Okay.
Zoom out.
Zoom out. Yeah, we got to go here. Boom.
Yeah, boom.
All right, so Imitek the Stormlord, honestly, one of the worst characters here, and you might say, why? He gives you 1 CP in your command phase, which is good. But Necrons have all 1 CP strats, and there are going to be ways to reduce the CP cost with the Overlord.
But he's the Lord of the Storms.
And then he does random mortals once per battle. He is by far one of the worst characters here.
What?
Which is shocking, because
He used
Necrons
to be
have
the coolest.
They've had some really bad characters in previous editions. Almost every character is really strong and useful in situations. Imitek is the one where I'm like, why am I running this guy?
That's sad. But he joins Immortals and Lichguard and Warriors.
He could join any of those units. It's not going to happen, I don't think. Orikin the Diviner, on the other hand, is joining a warrior unit every single game. This guy's one of the best characters in this entire book. He's money in the bank.
What does he do?
If he's leading a unit, they have a 4-up invul.
What?
20 warriors,
20 warriors, 4-up invul.
4-up invul, and then...
Because the 5-up wasn't good enough.
5-up wasn't good enough. 4-up invul, and I'm going to throw that Hypermaterial Ablator in the unit too for stealth and count as in cover if you're more than 12 away. So, that's very durable.
That's durable.
On top of that, his ability, which used to be a meme, he gets his Enlightened profile, it is now actually good.
What does it do?
So, once per battle, at the start of the fight phase, he can use the ability, and if he does, he gets triple his attacks, goes to 6 attacks, and goes to Strength 12, AP 3, D3 damage. You might be saying, that's not that much, but he also means that every wound roll, successful wound roll, counts as a critical wound, which is effectively a 6 to wound, and he has devastating wounds.
What? So
he doesn't have anti, but he's Strength 12, so against most things it's either 2s or 3s to wounds. Every wound roll then is D3 mortals.
Brinkening Broski goes 6 attacks, Strength 12, D3 damage on the wounds because dev wounds.
Yeah.
What?
You charge in, you're like, all right, I'm going to try and finish off most of these warriors. You don't finish off the unit, it reanimates, and then Orikin's like, bonk, 10 mortals, get out of here. Fool.
No.
Very good. Very, very good.
And he joins the Warriors.
He joins the Warriors or Lichguard, but they can get a 4-up invuln anyway. If you want to run the Scythes, though, he is an option.
He could join Immortals.
He could join Immortals as well. So, all the good battle line
units,
key units.
Yeah.
All right, Anrakir the Traveler. This guy used to be an aura of +1 attack. He no longer is that. He is, for the unit he's leading, +1 to wound. He can only join Immortals. However, there are some combos you can stack to make them pretty efficient. But he's only joining Immortals. If he could join other units, like Lichguard, he would be awesome. He's
got the Tachyon Arrow, is a one-shot weapon, 72-inch range, strength 16, AP 5, D6 +2. How do you not run this guy?
With that one-shot one-shot weapon. His other ability is quite a bit of a meme. You pick in your opponent's shooting phase, you pick a vehicle within 12, and they take a leadership test. Until the end of the phase, each time model makes an attack, -1 to hit. If they fail the test, they can't shoot.
That's pretty good. That's pretty... I mean, like, things are not high leadership in this, or low leadership in this game. Like, things just fail leaderships all the time.
They just roll like Snake Eyes on that roll, and you're like, oh god, I can't shoot.
Not even, like, roll a 5.
Yeah, roll a 5 on my Valiant, and I can't shoot. So.
See, he's not a meme. He's good.
It's only 12 inches, but
we'll get there.
It is pretty funny. +1 to wound on the Immortals is pretty solid, though.
Yeah.
Bargard Oberyn, another character I really love. He fits in Lichguard perfectly, because when he's leading a unit, they have fights first. So you charge into a break a Lich Guard, and then the Lich Guard are like, cool, let's swing in and kill a bunch of your models first, and then you don't finish off the Lich Guard, obviously, so they reanimate back. It's the perfect synergy.
Why?
He's just swinging first with his unit all the time. And if Xandric is in the unit, then the both characters have a 4 Feel No Pain. That's kind of meh. Whatever. The fight first is what you're taking him for.
So he can join the Lich Guard.
He can join Lich Guard. Necron Warriors are mortals. Lich Guard are the combat unit, so you put him in Lich Guard.
Yeah, so then the Lich Guard basically become unchargeable.
Pretty much. Or you charge him in and you accept you're taking casualties.
Yeah, like a lot of casualties.
A lot. All right. Then we've got Illuminator Xeris. He also got a massive glow up. Guy was pretty much useless, overcosted, whatever. He's now T8, 2-up save. He's also an infantry character, so for 1 CP you can just stand him back up. 9 wounds, and his Eldritch Lance is decent enough profile. His combat's solid. He's Feel No Pain 4+.
Oh
so if you finally do kill him,
and he just stands up at full health?
Stands up, I believe... Let's actually check that. I forget.
Oh, boy.
Here it is. It says, with half of its starting number of wounds remaining. Okay. So he'd start with 4 or 5. I guess half
rounding up. 4 Feel No Pain, that's still pretty tough.
It's still very tough. So
I've gone too far.
I did go too far. I'm going to have to scroll up.
How many characters are there?
There's a lot. There's a lot. We're going to be in characters for another like 40 minutes here. Okay. So he's the lone operative when he's within 3 of any friendly Necron units, so he can only be targeted by ranged attacks within 12. Great rule to have. And then his aura is the spice, okay? It's only for battle line units, which is warriors and immortals, but for any of those units within 6, they get +1 AP to their attacks, and they get -1 AP to incoming attacks.
What? So you could in theory run 2 warrior bricks here. One that is just 4-up and rolled up, and the other one that's all stealthy covered, -1 AP.
Both warrior units, if they're near him, would have -1 AP.
Oh, why is everything auras?
It's an aura. And if he kills something in the fight phase, then it's +3 inches to that aura, so it goes to 9.
Necrons are a hero hammer army now.
It doesn't cap at 9. It looks like if you just keep destroying models, you can keep extending the range, which would be hilarious.
I guess they're not even hero hammer. It's just like these guys.
It's support characters.
It's support character hammer. What is this?
They have amazing support characters. All right, here we go. Nemesis Xandric, he's the guy who could join Oberyn if you want to.
He's cool.
He is pretty cool because he has counter tactics, so once per battle, he can increase the CP cost of an opponent's stratagem after they use it. Mm-hmm. So that key stratagem your opponent's relying on, boom, it's either now, it's +1 CP, so it could be a 2 CP strat now, or it's a 3 CP strat, like Strike and Fade for Tau. You're just like, nope, 3 CP, don't do it. Transient Madness is, in your command phase, you roll a die, and you get an ability based on it. 5 or 6 is what you want, where Devastating Wounds on a Lich Guard unit, all of a sudden they pump out tons of attacks and do mortals.
This only affects their melee weapons?
Only affects their melee weapons.
Okay.
Well...
I mean, honestly, just rolling that on
if he's in a warrior unit, if he's in a Lich Guard unit, they only have melee one. But
but if you put this in a warrior unit, it could do any of the like they're shooting
weapons equipped by models in the unit.
I mean, putting that on warriors and then
it's
giving
also
them
pretty.
wounds.
It's also pretty
strong. So
you can't. The reroll wounds comes from
the strat.
From the strat, yes, from the strat.
So if you happen to roll dev wounds, and if you don't roll dev wounds, you have lethal or sustained hits, which is both fine rules, and then roll dev wounds, reroll wounds, GG.
You can punch up with him.
You can
punch up. All right, so Immortals, Lich Guard, Warriors, and then we got Trazen. Trazen was a meme.
He's the collector.
He still has his surrogate host rule, where if he can basically kill one of your other infantry characters and appear in their unit, so you can swap his place. His real rule is the Ancient Collector, which is when he's leading a unit. At the end of your command phase, if you control an objective, it's stickied. It's yours even if you move away from it until your opponent controls it at the start of any turn.
I mean, that's just a great
rule.
End. This is a great rule for Necrons.
It's a great rule. So what you could do is you could have him in like a cheap 10-man, go sticky your home objectives and those on your half of the board, and then swap into your big unit and sticky the midfield objectives.
Wait, so he teleports between units?
If one of those characters dies. Or no, you just select one friendly Necron infantry character model on the battlefield, and the selected model's destroyed. So you can just kill the one of the characters in your other unit and just swap in there.
I don't know that you would want to do that, but there's
probably not. But you
could. You could.
Maybe if you veil that unit onto the other side and start your opponent moved away from their backfield.
Or maybe there's like some cheapo garbage characters you don't care about. Or can you destroy your character then res it back to life?
No, you can't res the character.
Oh.
because it's once the character's dead, you can 1 CP stand them back up.
That's what I mean. Can, like, you kill your character and just spend a TP to...
I don't think so. Ignores all triggered when a model is destroyed. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So you can't use it. Okay. Otherwise, that would be cool.
That would be really cool.
But sticky objectives is a very good ability to have against...
in the right missions, too.
Indirect fire and stuff.
Indirect fire, yeah.
Royal Warden, he's another buff piece. He has the ability where he gives heavy and assault to a unit he's in.
Who does he join?
He can join warriors and immortals.
Oh, okay.
So it gives them either assault and heavy. And then once per battle, at the start of any phase, you can select a friendly Necron unit within 12, and they're not battle shocked anymore.
That's nice.
Because it's with it at the start of any phase, it's actually pretty useful. So like your opponent's morale phase, you're just like, all right, I know this unit's battle shocked already from your ability. Not battle shocked anymore heading into my command phase. Or start of your command phase, do it. Cool. Make sure you control your primary.
Yeah.
The other thing to note about Cryptex, which we're going to get to, is that Cryptex can join a unit that has a Noble or a Royal Warden. So you can have a Noble Royal Warden, one of those two, and then a Cryptech can join.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. A lot of character joining units here.
Yep, a lot of complex units. Scorepeg Lord. So he's T7 now, 6 wounds. His gun is pretty meh, and then his combat is also just 4 attacks with the hard-hitting weapon. It's AP3, flat 3 damage, which is not bad. But his ability is that when he's joining a unit, which is Scorepeg Destroyers, they get lethal hits, which really helps with them being only Strength 7 to punch up against targets. And then on the charge, he can do some amount of mortals. 4 up invuln stock, pretty solid. Scorpex themselves.
I forgot he was a character, to be honest.
You would never see him. Yeah. His only good thing was that he could access the -1 to wound strat.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got the Locust Lord over here.
Locust Lord is
fancy
great.
word for Destroyer Lord.
So first of all, he can take a Resorb, which lets you. This is one of the shenanigans with reanimation. Is normally reanimation is end of your command phase. The Resorb lets you do it at the end of your opponent's command phase. So end of, you charge into something and take some casualties on your turn. Then at the end of your opponent's command phase, you're like, cool, heal that back so that during your opponent's turn, you're not worried about having a weakened unit.
So he just doubles your reanimation, basically.
Yep, exactly.
Holy crap.
And then the Destroyer Cult is a great ability. Each time a model makes a ranged attack in the unit he's leading, each unmodified hit of 5 scores a critical hit. So when you combo this with like sustained hits or lethal hits, and guess what? Heavy destroyers have a sustained hits volume of fire gun. Every 5 or 6 will be an additional hit.
That's pretty absurd.
So pretty quite strong. And then he also, when he's attacking a unit below half strength, gets reroll hits and wounds, which his weapons themselves are pretty mediocre. But he has devastating wounds.
Yeah. So he basically want him to just reanimate stuff and help out.
Yep, keep the durability. They also, when a character is leading, you get +1 to hit.
The character bonuses.
And you can reroll wounds at full range.
Nice. So we've got the Lord next, the regular guy.
Basic Lord. He gives you the +1 move that you used to get on all your characters, Relentless March. And then on top of that, while he's leading a unit, you can target the unit with strats, even if it's battle shock.
So he seems like the kind of character that I would like to replace with the Trazen.
Yeah.
Maybe if you join him around. He's got to be cheap. He doesn't seem to do much.
Yep, but he can also take a Resorb, and that's his real value. He's probably the cheapest way to get a Resorb. And he's also a noble leading a unit. So Immortals, Lichguard, Warriors, that's pretty much what most of these guys can join. All right, Command Barge, awesome as well. 9-inch move, T8, 3-up save, 9 wounds. He's not lone operative like I mentioned, but he's a great target for the 4-up Funeral Pain to give him extra durability.
For the enhancement.
Exactly, that enhancement. And then if the strength of a weapon that is attacking him is higher than his toughness, -1 to wound, so a little bit extra defense.
At T8, he's basically never getting wounded on 2s or 3s. He's walking around with transhuman or tougher.
Exactly, but his real ability is an aura, 6-inch aura of +1 OC. So your Necron warrior unit goes to 3 OC per model. That alone sounds amazing.
Well, I'm just trying to keep my head around all these different buffs and how we can use them.
You're going to have to, because there's going to be a lot of buffs.
We've got like 20 warriors who just don't die ever because they come back to life in your turn, my turn, whenever they get damaged, and now they count as 3 models each. So I'm trying to think of like if I can't kill this unit, and
you're not going to contest my objective.
And I can't
for sure.
Steal the objective. Like, what do I do about it?
You bow to the Silent King, probably.
Oh, I got some decants for you, Siegs.
Yeah, he probably will need that. You're going to need that level of craziness. And then he also carries a Resorb, which can be used on infantry or mounted. His can be used on mounted, which is the destroyers, like the Destroyer Lord. Okay, his other weapons are pretty much nothing to write home about. Overlord. Okay, this guy is amazing, and his big thing is that My Will Be Done is just such an amazing strat or ability. Once per battle round, a lot of these ability, or some of them, like the Grey Knight one, is once per battle. This is once per battle round. One unit from your army with this ability can be targeted with a stratagem for 0 CP.
0 CP.
Even if you targeted a different unit with the strat. So remember I was talking about Undying Legion stratagem, where your opponent does damage in their turn, in the shooting or fight phase. You proc the stratagem to heal a unit. Well, that's probably one somebody's going to want to make 2 CP, or, with their Vect ability.
Vect is just an awesome ability.
I'm going to say, you know what? 0 CP. How about that?
So you know how I was like earlier when I mentioned when he's all giddy like this, that's the one you Vect. You were...
I'm like, I don't really care, because the Overlord's going to make it cost 0. On top of that, he lets you use it twice. So you use it on your Lich Guard unit or some other unit or a second warrior unit, and then you use it for free again on this one.
Wow.
Very strong.
I wonder if they're going to clarify how modifying something to 0 or setting something to 0 versus modifying
probably
work, but
for now, it's
0.
It
says 0.
It just says 0.
It definitely says 0.
And then on top of that, he takes a Res Orb. So that's awesome.
Everybody gets Res Orbs. Why does everyone have Res Orbs? Can just double healing in my turn? You know who else double heals? Accursed Cultists. They're great.
Them and Warriors are going to just stand on the board looking at each other.
I'm looking at Jimmy Guy, who just became a bronze member of the War Room. Thanks so much, Jimmy. Enjoy that Discord and check out the videos.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Jimmy. Glad you're joining us. All right. The Technomancer. This is another awesome character.
This guy's been a meme. He is a meme
he's been
machine.
very good. He's not been a meme. He's been very good. You're talking about the Plasmancer.
One of the Mancers.
All right. Rites of Reanimation. While he's leading a unit, 5 up Feel No Pain.
Wait, what?
5 up Feel No Pain. 5 up Feel No Pain.
So you... What? Your Necron, your 20-man... Scroll down. I need to see what he joins.
Immortals, Lich Guard Warriors.
What? How is this okay? No wonder Eldar exists. They find out that... But this stuff... What? Your 20... How do you make progress on this unit?
You don't. You sit there and you let the Necrons live their lives.
They're OC3! We just learned that! That guy's transhuman, feel a pain and minus half damage.
So, on top of that, he can heal a friendly Necron unit D3 wounds within 3, and he can get the Canoptic Cloak for fly and 10-inch move, which is whatever, but he could also buff Canoptic units if you have them.
He can also do things besides give your units feel no pain.
And the key thing here is that because he's a Cryptek, he can join a unit that has a Warden or a Noble inside of it.
Oh, so you can join like your Overlord to get the Res Orb with this final 5 Feel No Pain man.
Exactly.
Orican even.
No, Orican's another. You pick Technomancer or Orican.
Okay, but we've got Kellen Foster here for $2. Thank you so much for your super chat. Can a Catacomb Command Barge let a unit reanimate twice in an enemy turn?
So typically things don't stack. Even though it's written differently, it's still called the Resurrection Orb. Let's double check. Yep, it's still called the Resurrection Orb. So typically the same ability cannot be applied to, even though it's worded different. It's the same name, and usually it's based off same name. You can't use it on multiple units. So I expect you can't use it in multiple times in your opponent's command phase, but maybe Games Workshop will say otherwise. Maybe they want warriors in your opponent's command phase.
We don't want warriors in your opponent's command phase.
All right, so that's the Technomancer. He's great. He's fantastic. Psychomancer.
Is he the meme?
He was a meme. He was the guy who was...
He was leadership guy.
In your opponent's morale phase, they would...
I like that guy.
Okay. So now he's a 9-inch aura of -1 to leadership. For enemy units, and then at the start of your shooting phase, you select one enemy unit with an 18, and they take a battle shock test. So he can try and do battle shock shenanigans. Is effectively what he's doing. I think he's the worst out of them.
Yeah, he doesn't seem very exciting, but he's got the Abyssal Lance, which is strength 6, AP 3, and 3 damage.
One shot.
Okay, if you take all the one-shot weapons, eventually something will work.
Something might work. And then we've got the Chronomancer. Chronomancer is still pretty good. He gives you, when he's leading a unit, they're -1 to hit. That's shooting in combat. Very strong. And then in your shooting phase, after the model's unit has shot, if it's not engaged range, it can make a normal move of up to 5 inches, as if it were the movement phase, but can't charge. So you can step out, shoot, get back behind terrain. So he's a pretty good... I think he's better on Immortals, where they want to step out, shoot, and you could have the Chronomancer plus Anrakir for
You
that
have
+1 to
Fire
wound.
and Fade. The Eldar player inside me is like, this is the best rule you've said all day. And you're just like, this is whatever.
Because I want to stay on objectives.
You want to move.
But
you
I'm
need
saying
to move to the objectives.
But I'm saying with the warrior unit, with the immortal unit, you can actually just have a Fire and Fade, relatively durable shooting unit that doesn't have to step out until you need it to.
Well, what if you go forward?
You could just go forward, but then immortals are easier to kill than warriors.
Oh, he has to join Immortals.
No, he can join warriors too.
So what's wrong with that?
I want Orican. I want the 4 Binvol.
Four
4
Binvol.
Binvol is just because you can get -1
Yeah,
to
what
hit.
are we talking about? This guy's competing with 4 Pinballs. None of this matters.
But I think on immortals, he's the pick.
Okay.
Like I said.
Okay, because the Fire and Fade on Immortals.
And you
Okay.
can stack a lot
I see
more.
where you're going with
A lot
it.
of offensive buffs. But still, you got options.
Yeah.
Plasmancer's the next Cryptek. When he's leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, each successful hit of 5 scores a critical hit. So it's very much like the Destroyer Lord. So this is where things like Tesla, which are sustained hits too, can just proc on 5s and 6s.
And his gun is pretty good. It's 3 shots,
It's
strength
not bad.
7, AP3 2 damage, and he himself will get this Tesla roll, right?
And he'll get +1 to hit because the character's leading the unit.
So it's hitting on 3s.
Yep, so it's not bad. And Living Lightning is his other ability in your shooting phase. You pick an enemy unit with an 18 invisible, roll a d6 for each model in the unit, 6 is immortal. So if hordes are a thing, it's actually not bad in the mirror matchup. Because you're like 20 warriors plus a bunch of characters in the unit, boom, 6s. But where you're going to see Crypto Thralls are another amazing defensive mechanic for this army. Okay, so that's Plasmancer. Necron Warriors. So baseline stats, they still move 5. They don't have easy access to the +1 move. That's only on the basic Lord now. T4, 4-up save, 1 wound, leadership 7+, not great. Most of the characters are 6. And then OC2 is the sauce here.
That's the sauce.
OC2.
I mean, that's pretty standard for troop check.
Exactly, because you have the command barge who can make them 3.
Yeah, you sure do, and they don't die. We've been over that 100 times.
Their battle line and their rule, as it was previewed, is instead of reanimating D3, they reanimate D6. But if the unit's within range of an objective marker, which it's warriors, their whole purpose is holding objectives, D3 +3. So now let's go back to wait. Let's go back to the strat.
Whoa. So let me make sure I got this. We got D3 +3
Each time it
in
reanimates.
your command phase, and then my command phase, and then also you have a strat for when I damage you.
When you damage me, I can use the strat.
And that's you could do that in both the shooting phase or the fight phase.
Yep.
So let's say, as an example, like I shoot you pretty hard and I kill like 10 dudes, and you use the strat, and then I charge you and I shoot. You bring like 5 back, so you're like 15 now. And then I charge you pretty good, and I bring you down to like 5, but you use the strat again, so you're back up to 10. And then it's your command phase, so you're going to go up to 15.
Then your command
phase.
phase.
It's my command phase, and you're back to a 20.
Yep.
What?
It's good. It's good. So there's more. There's more, by the way. We'll get to the reanimator. All right, cool. Immortals. We've been talking about them. They're similar. They're 3-up save, T5, 2 OC as well, so they really like that +1 OC from the command barge. And Gauss Blasters have lethal hits, so if you have something like the Plasmancer in here, every 5 or 6 to hit will be auto wound, which is nice. If you have Illuminar Xeris nearby, they're AP2, and their ability is they reroll 1s to wound, or if they're targeting something on an objective, they reroll wounds.
I'm still on the
So
Warriors.
you could have Anrakir in the unit plus that Cryptek, and you'll have you could have exploding attacks with the Tesla or lethal hits with the Gauss, and then +1 to wound, reroll wounds. So they can actually do quite a bit of damage. It's only a 10-man, but with the Chronomancer inside, you can just safely shoot them every turn and just pop back in.
I'm still trying to damage the 4 Pinball 5. Feeling
You're
pain
not.
Warriors
Just
break.
forget about trying.
And now the Immortals are just shooting the crap out of me, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, they're just shooting you every turn.
Okay. So are you thinking like one big fat warrior brick and like lots of Immortals going with it?
I was thinking like 1 Immortal unit, 1 Warrior unit, a Lich Guard unit. Like have a lot of durable units that have different roles depending on what I need.
Oh boy.
Yeah. A lot of flex.
Oh no.
Okay, here we go.
No.
Here we go.
No more. No.
Here we go.
No more.
Here we go. All right, here we go. Okay, Reanimator, his stats are still hilarious. It's T6 now, 6 wounds only, but it has a 4-up Feel No Pain, so it doesn't insta-die to indirect fire, which is good because its ability is amazing. It is an aura, a 12-inch aura for friendly Necron units. Each time that unit's reanimation protocols activate, so like Nick said, it could be with the strat, your command phase, your opponent's command phase with the strat, go ahead and roll an additional D3. So now the warriors are 3 plus 2d3, and if they're using the strat, plus 1 because they're led by a character.
So at a rate of killing 10 warriors per activation in both a shooting activation and a combat activation, you got back to 20 warriors by the time it was my next turn.
Easily.
But now, like, if I was killing 15 warriors at a time with this thing, you would literally get back to 20. You have to one-shot a unit of 20 warriors with 4 pinballs and 5 appeal of pain to actually do this.
Yep.
And that's not even counting the fact that there's like, well, we're not even going to get to the Crypto Thralls. We're just...
so you could have one unit that is... Yeah, we're going to get to Crypto Thralls, but you could have one unit that's Technomancer, 5 of Pain, and one that has the 4 up Invuln. And depending on your opponent's output, you put that one out first.
Parabox, the 25-pound super chat. Nemesis or Nick has risen again!
He has risen.
Boop, boop, bop.
So, this thing is automatic. You're running at least one, maybe 2. I have it right here. Just this guy, right there. This guy.
I'm going to blow him. I'm going to take a Wraith Knight and see through a wall to kill you.
Wherever there's no windows, he's right there.
He's right there.
He's right there being a good boy. Hexmark Destroyer. All right, so T5, 3-up save, blah, blah, blah. His pistols are precision.
Is he back? The Galactopus?
The Galactopus is back. He's 18-inch range, 6 shots, hits on 2, strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage. What is cool about him is that...
There's only 1 damage.
1 damage, sorry, 1 damage. AP 2, 1 damage. And then each time an enemy unit targets a friendly Necrons unit within 3 of him, he shoots back. On top of that, he can use the Overwatch strat for free, and hits on 2s when he uses it.
See, so GSC have this guy. It's called the Kellenmorph. And I had the same rule, but I have 12-inch guns, and they're strength 5, and they're AP 1. And it's 6 shots, and it's just not as cool.
Yeah, so 18-inch range is a big deal. On top of that, he's lone operative, and he's a character. So he's a great person to put the Sovereign Coronal Relic to count as being in range of the character buff, count as being led by a character. So he just walks around with that. He can't be targeted unless you're within 12, and he can just buff your vehicles, just sitting there.
Oh my god. And then every time you shoot a vehicle, he just shoots back.
He just shoots back. Or he can be near the warrior unit, too, and just shoot back. You try and put chip damage into the warriors, and he's like, bam, 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 I'll just chip you down instead.
How many characters do you think you're going to run this
list? A lot. More than before.
You think we missed a super chat?
Oh, no, we got that one.
We got that one.
Nemesis or Nick.
We've risen again!
Lichguard. Also an outstanding improved data sheet. The reason is there's still 3-up saves, still T5, whatever about that. Guardian protocols. When a noble is leading the unit, they're -1 to wound. And this isn't like those other -1 to wound abilities where the strength has to be greater than your toughness for you to get it. This is just -1 to wound, period.
Wait a second.
Shooting, combat, doesn't matter. Strength 4 against you, now it's wounding on 6s.
That's pretty great.
And like I said, you put Oberyn in here, fight first. So it's a nightmare to charge, and it's super durable.
You can put the Fianlo Pain guy.
You put the Technomancer. I love the Technomancer in the
list. You have 3 Technomancers.
No, you can have 1 Cryptech.
Oh, 1 total.
1 Cryptech in the unit.
No, I mean like 3 units. 3
you could have 3 different units with Technomancers. You could totally do that.
Army of Fianlo Pain. What's wrong with that?
The only downside here is you have to have either all swords or all shields, or all war sights and all shields. I like the shields just so I can put Orokin in the warriors, and then they have a 4-up invuln, and they just need to be tanky and survive. And they can get that +1 OC from the command barge. Death marks. So they're another thing like Immortals, T5, 3-up save. Their sniper is heavy, precision. Still 36-inch range, 1 shot. They're BS3 now instead of BS2.
AP2 and 2 damage.
But strength 5, AP2, 2 damage. That's not bad.
That hurts.
And like I said, with that strat, you can get reroll 1s on them. Even though a character can't join them, you have the Sovereign Coronal near them. Now they're +1 to hit and reroll wounds at full range. Yep.
Do they have the same rule where they teleport weird times?
They've got deep strikes, so they're actually a good mission playing unit. And if you, once per turn, in the reinforcement step of your opponent's movement phase, when a unit's set up with an 18 invisible, they can shoot.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not quite as you come in, I come in from reserve, and then hit you.
Yeah.
So
it depends how much they cost, really.
Definitely does, but not a bad profile there.
Flayed ones. All right, 60 of these things hitting the table right now.
You do flayed ones.
All right, so flayed ones. Unfortunately, right over here, Mr. Siegs, I'm not the only one who can use a mouse cursor thing. You see, they've nerfed us because they knew we were too powerful in 9th edition. So now we only have unit size 10. That's maximum.
Can't go in the 20, man.
bridled, I will continue though, because flayed ones are amazing. They infiltrate and they have stealth. They reanimate, they sure do. The flesh hungers. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, if the target of the attack is below half strength, a successful hit scores a critical hit, and they have sustained hits 1. So they're basically exploding everything if they're attacking a weakened unit. And they already reroll to wound with their 4 attacks hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP 1, and 1 damage. You can join the characters to it with that aura ability we found, so they're going to be hitting on 2s, sustained hits 2s, and then 4 attacks each. That's like 8 hits per guy. 8 hits times 10 guys is 80 hits. Strength 4, whatever. AP 1, plus 1 strength AP strat. Infiltrate and stealth.
You'll notice that they lost their free deep strike, which is a big deal. They probably won't be as good as like cheap mission play, although they can go into strategic reserves. But stealth infiltrators is not bad. They can at least forward deploy onto objectives.
You know what else is not bad? Shell's $5 super chat. Thank you, Shell. All of 40K is about to learn the meaning of the Necron supremacy. Glory to the infinite empire. Nemesis or
Glory indeed. Glory indeed.
Jack Brown's got a £5 super chat. How about giving the Coronel a Technomancer to make it a 5-up Feel of Pain that can affect vehicles like the Monolith?
Giving the Coronal to a Technomancer to make it an aura of 5-up Feel No Pain that can affect vehicles. So the Coronal counts as being led by a character, but not that character. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't give your character buff to everything within 6. It gives you the +1 to hit, and it gives you the access to the second half of the stratagems. But it doesn't take your character ability and then make that an aura for everybody.
It'll also mean units can benefit like they have a character unit without having the character keyword, because there's a lot of rules in the game that are like reroll wounds versus characters, and characters joined units will confer the keyword. Mm-hmm. Kyle Hall's got a $5 super chat. You guys are getting a flood of super chats. Thank you so much, everybody. Reanimator equals aura plus no line of sight. A unit could be affected by 3. Does the stratagem trigger another whole reanimation protocol D3 plus 1, or just the reanimate D3 plus 1?
So it's the same thing where when you have the rule with the same name, you can't stack it multiple times.
Okay, cool. And then
the reason to run multiple is either you have 1 on each flank, if you spread your army that way, or if they have indirect fire and they kill 1, you still have a second.
Okay. Last super chat from this batch. Zoltan Lukacs with the 1,000 currencies. So Reanimator went from 0 to hero. 12-inch aura is massive and it does not need line of sight. Math-wise, what is the max reanimation you get? I don't like this question. I like your super chat. Appreciate your support, Zoltan, but I don't want to know what the maximum pain you can inflict is.
The max is that your unit is from dead to back to max by your opponent's turn.
Oh my god. It sounds like it's going to happen based on my calculations.
It totally could.
Yeah.
This is why you would, if you stack all of these things together, it's very hard to finish off Necron units, which is great. They play exactly like the lore. Yeah. All right, Crypto Thralls. Okay, this is the last piece of the defensive mechanic
puzzle.
Don't lie
to me. We haven't even seen the Ghost Arc yet.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Say, why are you lying to me?
I meant specifically in attaching units.
Oh my! So now that we have our 65th character added to our unit,
they're not
we're
characters.
Almost done.
They're not characters.
Okay, how do these work?
Okay, so they're T4, 2 wounds apiece, but they gained a 4-up Feel No Pain. So you were saying like, okay, if I don't have the Technomancer and I have Orican instead in the Warriors, where's my Feel No Pain coming from? It's Crypto Thralls. So
because everyone just needs Feel No Pain. God forbid we have a war unit without Feel No Pain.
And then the Cryptek have a 4-up Feel No Pain in the unit, and they have a Fight on Death on a 3-up, whatever about that. The cool thing is they can join units that have a Cryptek infantry unit. You can only put 1 extra one in there. They probably saw somebody trying to put 6 in there and were like, okay, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But you can
try that.
You put the 1 unit of Crypto Thralls in there, and you use those to tank mortal wounds or damage that you want to. You're just like, okay, maybe I'm going to use my stratagems on a different unit, and I'm going to focus on that. Instead, I'll just tank on the Crypto Thralls, and my opponent's not going to do much. And then the cool thing is they're part of the unit once they're attached to it, so you can just heal them back with the reanimation. So they kill the Crypto Thralls, you use the strat, get your Crypto Thralls back, they have to kill the Crypto Thralls again, you use your Res Orbs, you use the Ghost Arc.
So every time I damage you, which is your command phase, my command phase, shooting phase, fight phase, you're going to roll D3 plus 3, because we're talking Warriors over here, plus D3 plus 1 for the Reanimator.
No, it's an additional D3.
Oh, additional D3.
So Warriors are flat 3 plus D3.
And then additional D3.
And then an additional D3, and then if you use the strat on them, it's plus 1.
Oh, strat's an additional one as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so not using the strat, it'll be 3 plus 2d3, you get an average of 7 wounds. And these guys, reanimating them is 2 each, so that's 4 of them. So you get these guys back plus 3 warriors every time you reanimate. Eventually even more if you're using the strat. And these little jerks have 4 up feeling no pain and 2 wounds each.
And so they're just the tanks in the unit.
And you just keep healing
you put them up front so that if your opponent charges the unit, you fight on death for free, then you bring them back, then you fight normally, then they kill them again, you fight on death. You keep on going.
I've had enough. Scorpion Destroyers. What a nice wholesome unit. Nothing crazy going on here.
Crypto Thralls are straight up automatic. Get them in every unit. Any unit that has a cryptic, put them in there.
Is happening.
Okay. Scorpion Destroyers. So these guys are great. Or not great, sorry. The Crypto Thralls are great. The Scorpion Destroyers are kind of meh, in my opinion. They're up to T6, but there's no more -1 to wound strat that exists, and their profiles were all combined. They used to have a big swing that was high damage, and then a medium swing that was 2 damage. Now everything's 2 damage. It's just 4 attacks, hits on 3s, strength 7, AP 2 damage. However, each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack, you ignore all modifiers to their weapon skill and hit rolls. That's cool. And then once per battle, the Plasma Sight gives you devastating wounds. But there's not a lot of buffs. Only the Scorpek Lord can go in them. But you could use the Sovereign Colonel to give him +1 to hit and use the strat to get +1 strength and extra AP. So they can go to strength 8, AP 3. But still 2 damage.
They're also OC2. They're OC2. And T6. Like, they're just tough. They're a good unit to go trade on objectives with.
Yeah, but there's nothing stands out as like Necrons don't have too much anti-tank from what we've seen so far, but we're going to get there later. But they're not doing that role anymore.
No.
They're an anti-elite killer.
They look to me like a unit of Possessed. They're like that kind of vibe for
They're kind of like that. Mm-hmm. All right, the Triarch Stalker, he is...
this is a misleading picture of the Stalker.
He's TA, 12 wounds. His abilities in your shooting phase. Each time the model selected shoot, after resolving its attacks, you pick an enemy unit that was hit, and they don't get cover. This is one of the few ways, besides the strat, to shoot back in your opponent's turn, to ignore cover in the army.
Okay, so you have the strat, and you also have this guy. He's always been like a buff piece for your other guns.
Yep, so he still is exactly that.
4 pinballs,
and
nice.
then he has a couple weapons, none of which are super impressive, but they're all okay.
We got another $5 super chat, £5. From George P. We live in a universe where the Eldar and the Necrons are in the same edition as the Death Guard. What do you guys think GW is thinking? Let's go, Tau and Sisters of Battle. Well, I appreciate your super chat.
Thanks so much for the super chat.
I don't know how we got here. I know that we are here.
I mean, some of those designers really love these factions. They were like, Necrons have suffered 2 editions in a row. We'll put some love into this index, and they really did put some love into it. So I'm happy for that.
All I'm hoping is that they're quick to react, and hopefully buff gives some Death Guard some love and gives some needed nerfs to the problematic people of the
Anything
world.
That seems overpowered.
Like
we're going to get data
Warriors.
really quickly. No, the Warriors are fine. Warriors are fine. Leave Warriors alone.
So I feel like the Deceiver's been working out. Look at that.
He has been working out. He's got those abs.
He's got more definition going on.
So the Catan shard of the Deceiver, Epic Hero, he has his unique ability, Cosmic Insanity, anti-character 4+, devastating wounds, and precision, but it's only 6 attacks at strength 6, AP2, 1 damage. Mm-hmm. So not going to kill character in one go, but could over the course of 2-3 turns. He has stealth. And he still has the redeployability. It's the only way Necrons can redeploy, and it's just 3 Necron units. You could also put them back into reserve.
Is it before who goes in first?
After both players have deployed.
Yeah.
So it's not after you. It's not like
I
an
feel like
Alpha
that's
Strike
the new norm.
It's not quite as good as it was.
Yeah.
Which is fine because it means Alpha Strikes are less powerful. And then he also has the new Necrodermis rule, which all of them have half damage.
That's great.
Yep, 4 up inful. Mm-hmm. And
he's pretty tough.
T11, 12 wounds, half damage, 6 OC is not bad.
4 pinball, yeah, he's tough. 6 OC is good. The Nightbringer, this guy's a classic.
So his Gaze of Death is Blast. It's only D3 shots, but hits on 2, strength 12, AP2, flat 3 plus D6.
I'm surprised this doesn't have Dev Wounds tacked onto it. It would if it was Eldar.
It definitely would. His Scythe does have Dev Wounds, the big strike. 6 attacks, hits on 2, strength 14, AP4, D6.
Oof, that hits.
And then his sweep is strength 8, AP2, 2 damage, 14 swings.
That's a great sweep.
Yep,
That's a great
he's
sweep.
got a very solid sweep. And
less OC, noticeably.
Yeah, the Deceiver's more about shenanigans on the objectives. He's just about killing. At the end of the fight phase, roll a d6 for each enemy unit within 6. So end of fight phase after things have fought. On a 4-up, they take D3 mortals. So it's a way to finish off units or swing an objective back in your favor by killing a couple guys.
It's free mortals.
And then he's got the half damage 4-up invul. And then we've got the Void Dragon.
Ah.
So he's anti-vehicle 2+, one shot, hits on 2, strength 4, AP3, D6 plus 2. Then the Voltaic Storm is blast, sustained hits 2, 18-inch range, flat 3 plus D6, hits on 2s, strength 7, AP1, 2 damage. It's not bad on his shooting profiles. And then his spear is also anti-vehicle 2+, so 5 attacks, strength 12, AP3, D6 plus 2. So he's very good against vehicles in general. Solid sweep profile as well. And then his rule is at the start of your shooting phase, you pick an enemy vehicle within 12, roll a d6 on a 2-up, they take d3 mortals, and you regain that many wounds. So he still has the healing specifically against vehicles. And then each time he has the half damage for him. All right. Then the Transcendent Catan, this is the one that is not an epic hero, so you could put the enhancement on it for now. Seismic Assault is an assault weapon, sustained hits 1, 12-inch range, 6 attacks, strength 8, AP2, D3. So not bad. And then his Tendrils is strength 9, AP3, D6, 8 swings. So pretty solid in combat with sustained hits. He's got Deep Strike, and his rule is the cool part. Each time the model is selected to advance, and he has an assault weapon, you remove him from the battlefield, set him up anywhere 9 away.
That's pretty
just
cool.
teleport so he can score you mission points, like engage and
He
stuff.
can also just, he's pretty,
while
he's
doing
quite
some
the type of model to just teleport.
Exactly,
Like,
so
put that where you don't want it.
Half damage, 4-up invuln. If you can put the 4-up Feel No Pain on him, if they don't FAQ that away, he's really annoying to deal
Well,
with.
he's not an epic hero, if only because, like, last edition, you could just take 3 of them.
Yeah, but all the Catan had the ability where they couldn't take Warlord traits or relics written onto their thing, into the Catan rules.
see,
so it doesn't have that anymore.
Might just get rid of that.
It just can't be your Warlord, is the only thing. All right, Canoptic Spiders.
Oh, I hope these guys are good.
This is a tech piece unit, in my opinion. So Particle Beamer, Dev Wounds, Blast, bunch of no AP shots.
Decent stats.
Its combat is okay. It's like a Power Fist. And it can heal back Scarabs in your command phase if they're nearby. But the key thing here is he has 2 different auras. One is the Fabricator Claw, which all vehicles within 6 get a Feel No Pain of 6+. Not bad. This can be used on the Silent King. It can be used on Doomsday Arcs, Monolith, whatever. The Gloom Prism is the tech. So while a friendly Necron unit is within 6, models in the unit have a Feel No Pain 4+ against psychic attacks.
That seems worth it.
So you're like Grey Knights, Thousand Suns.
Yeah, those are factions. The demons.
Armies, demons.
I have a Triple Lord of Changeless with Fate Weaver. I wouldn't like that.
4 of Feel No Pain. So this is depends on your meta, but could be very, very strong in the right situation. All right. Then
They're not expensive, just like including one.
it's only 1 to 2. You can't take them in the 3-mans anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Canoptic Scarab Swarms.
They're slower.
OC0.
OC0 and T2. 6 of... Wow, they don't like Scarabs.
They don't like Scarabs. However, they do have a cool rule where if they're engagement range, -1 to the enemy OC, and to a minimum of 1. So they did they did realize that minimum 1 is probably something that should be in these type of rules here. But
Not -1 damage.
yeah, no.
Don't need that.
So they can do the random mortals again. But overall, definitely a significant nerf to this unit. It's also Swarm, and the ruins interact with Infantry and Beast, not Swarm.
Yeah.
So, couple big changes to Scarabs. But like honestly, if you're worried, if there are other objective control armies that are trying to deny you primary, and having the command barge isn't enough, or you don't want to run the command barge, or you're running an army without warriors in that combo, then this could be very useful. Charge them in, and just make sure the objective goes back to you. At the very least, they have to put their attacks into the Scarabs. Okay, Ophidian Destroyers. So they're T5 now instead of T4, which is nice.
Move 9.
And then they have 5 attacks, hits on 3, strength 4, AP2, 2 damage. Their rule is, once again, probably the best part of them, is that at the end of your opponent's turn, if they're not in engaged range, they can go into reserves and come down in your reinforcement step. So they're definitely a mission playing tool that could do damage.
Yeah, it's like an ideal skirmisher type of unit. So I imagine you'll want like 3 of them to just go do stuff.
Just to keep it cheap, and then Dev Wounds with the Plasma Sight once per battle.
Tomb Blades.
Tomb Blades got a nice little glow up here. So they have Scouts 9.
Wow.
So they're one of the... Necrons were an army that only had Scout moves through that custom dynasty. Now they have something on the data sheet that can do it, which is really important because they don't have too many infiltrators. You saw Flayed Ones were one of those. And each time that they're targeted, -1 to hit. This is shooting and combat now, not just ranged attacks. And then their weapons are all okay. But
they lost a lot of shots compared to last edition.
Yep, they definitely did. But the fact is that Scouts 9 could be very powerful.
I think
they also can't be 9-mans now.
Yeah, the same thing. Just run them in 3s and let them just zip around doing mission stuff. Seems good.
Triarch Praetorians. So very similar to what they were.
They fly.
The rod is 1 less AP. They are infantry with fly, which is very good in this edition. And then their combat is slightly worse, but just about the same. They have native deep strike. So
3 attack, strength 5, AP 2 damage is not bad.
it's not bad.
It's not ideal. Like strength 6 would be nice because you win most tanks on 5s then.
You can reroll your charges and fall back in charge.
That is good.
And you take them in 5 to 10 mans, so not bad at all.
David Bukowski's also got a $5 super chat for us, and that is also good. Does Hexmark ability multi-threat eliminator activate if he's the target?
He is a unit within 3 of himself, so yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll trade it off himself.
Yep. So Canoptic Wraiths, they are T6 now. So that's +1 toughness. That's nice. They kept their 4-up invul. And their thing is when they move over an enemy unit, they roll a d6 for each model in the unit, and on a 4-up, 1 mortal.
Nice.
And it's the amount of your Wraith units, not the amount of enemy models.
So let's just look at this, because Wraiths are always like one of those units you try to spam out defensively. Toughness 6, 4-up invul.
3 wounds.
3 wounds. They only move 9. That is a bit of a decrease. OC2 is great for this kind of unit.
They do have beasts, though, so they can go through those walls.
Beast and fly is going through everything. Wraith form. What does Wraith form do?
That is the mortals when you move over somebody.
Okay, that's not really going to come up too often with move 9, but they seem okay. I mean, their Vicious Claws are strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage.
They lost a point of AP, so...
They're not that scary in combat, but it's really just about, like, boxing you in while you takes you forever to kill the Wraiths.
They definitely want that Technomancer with the Canoptic control node. That +1 to hit.
Yeah.
Or the Coronal.
Nick V with a $5 super chat. Great review. Sorry to rewind. Would the Cryptodolls give their own unit fight on death?
I believe it's only their models. It's their datasheet ability. I don't think it gives it to the unit.
They don't need to be that good. Annihilation Barge. This is a classic.
So T8 here, 9 wounds, which is quite solid.
4-up invul again.
4-up invul, which you're going to see as a theme for a lot of these vehicles. There are unique rules in the shooting phase. Each time you select a target for its Tesla destructors, roll a d6 for the target unit and 1d6 for every other enemy unit within 3. On a 5-up, they take D3 mortals.
Wow.
So it's a way to just pump out some mortals onto your opponent, which is cool because those abilities have kind of fallen away for a lot of armies. Mm-hmm. It's only on a 5-up, so it's not as consistent as it was before, but it's D3 instead of just 1.
It's got decent shooting. Like the Twin Tesla Destructor is just a lot of sustained hits. It's 6 shots, sustained hits, strength 8, 2 damage. No AP, might suck, but it's a lot of shots still.
Yep. So once again, this is where you probably combo it with a Triarch.
To ignore cover?
Yeah, or it doesn't really matter because it's AP 0, so it would only matter on 4-up save or worse, but that's okay.
Doomsday Arcs.
That's probably what you want to shoot it at anyway.
Yeah, right.
Doomsday Arc. So T9 now, so pretty nice increase there, still 14 wounds, 5 objective control.
That's odd.
And its weapon is Blast Heavy. They previewed it, 72-inch range. It's D6 +1, so it can still be inconsistent in the number of shots. Hits on 3s, but the Coronal can make you hit on 2s. Strength 15, which is very rare. AP 4 damage.
That's
so
winning the whole game on 3s.
Very solid anti-tank. It's going to be a bit swingy, and then it has that anti-infantry volume of fire. Its ability is when it remains stationary, its cannon gets dev wounds. So it doesn't have anti, but every 6th wound will be 4 mortals.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's pretty great.
And then
Devlin's on damage 4 is still good.
Just still very good.
Really strong.
Locust Destroyers.
Their
ability is they reroll 1s to hit if they target the closest eligible enemy unit. Mm-hmm. And their Gauss Cannon is lethal hits. It lost a point of strength, but AP and a point of AP as well, and is now a consistent 2 damage instead of D3.
Beautiful.
So interesting there. The Lord makes you 5s and 6s to hit are critical hits, which means 5s and 6s will be lethal hits. Okay.
Seems like a decent unit.
1 to 6 models.
Yeah.
Can't take the heavy in this unit anymore. The heavies are their own thing. They're also T6 for wounds. But I was talking about this weapon before, the Exterminator. It's heavy, rapid fire 6.
Fire 6?
So 18-inch range. It is 12 shots per model with sustained hits 1. You put the Lord in here. Every 5 and 6 to hit is an additional hit. Strength 6. AP 1 damage.
1 CP reroll wounds.
1 CP reroll wounds.
What?
It's very good anti-infantry. It doesn't ignore
cover.
It's
good anti-tank at that point.
Unless they're cover. Like, 2-up save and cover, it's not really doing anything against that. But, like, infantry units and the kind of worst save tanks, it's going to pick them up. So very good unit there. And then the Gauss, longer range, only 1 shot. Strength 14, though, so 1 less than the Doomsday Cannon. AP4 flat 6.
14 versus 15, I feel like, is pretty negligible.
It's
AP4 flat
totally.
6 is great.
It is very solid. It's only 3 shots, but like I said, you could be hitting on 2s, rerolling to wound.
Yeah.
So, and then its native thing is with the Exterminator, reroll 1s to wound against infantry. So if you're like attacking toughness 3 infantry, you just have reroll 1s to wound, wounding on 2s.
They're not that tough, though. Toughness 6, 3 up armor, and 4 wounds, no invul. So if
Definitely not as
could
tough.
definitely go down. Depends how many points these guys are. Their offense is huge.
Got to use them carefully.
Yeah.
The Doomstalker.
This thing always sucks. It still suck?
It's only been existent for one, or it was introduced in early 9th, yeah. So T8, 3-up save, 12 wounds, A+ leadership, not great there. The Doomsday Cannon is similar, D6 plus 1 shots. It's less range. Hits on 4s because it's canoptic, so you really want that Technomancer nearby. Strength 14 though, AP 3, and 3 damage. So it's 1 less strength, 1 less AP, 1 less damage. Has some mediocre short range shots. Its thing is that it can overwatch on 5s and 6s with the strat, which with this low volume of fire,
Yeah, I'm not feeling that.
I think the Doomsday Arc
Doomsday Arc seemed good.
seems good, but if this is dramatically cheaper, you might just go for these guys and have the same type of situation going on.
Yeah.
No dev wounds either.
Oh, no, we're here.
Okay, so Ghost
here.
Arc, this is the other piece of the puzzle.
The last
You know I
piece.
love my warriors. I got my Cryptex, I've got my Ghost Arc, and my Reanimator. The Ghost Arc is also amazing in this edition. So it's a T9 now, 14 wounds. It's still got its bunch of anti-infantry
tougher.
shots. Lost a point of AP, but that's fine. Once per phase, just after an enemy unit finishes making its attacks, so that's your opponent's shooting phase, your opponent's fight phase, your fight phase when you charge in and take damage.
Yeah.
Or if your opponent shoots back and you
Yeah, like
and
all
your
the, it's
shooting
all
phase.
the time. Like when you take damage is all the time.
Just after it has to be from attacks though.
Okay.
It has to involve attacks. But if one or more friendly Necron Warriors units within 3 loses 1 or more wounds as a result, you can activate its ability, and if it does, the Warriors use Reanimation. And then once again, if this guy, this friendly little guy, is within 12 of the unit, then it's an additional D3.
So the Warriors are going to get D3 plus 3 plus another D3 for 2D3 plus 3 in your command phase. In my shooting phase, when I shoot you unit and the Ghost Arc says do it. In my shooting phase, after I shoot you again and you use a stratagem, and that'll be an additional 1. Then in the fight phase, you're going to get 2 more instances, 1 for the Ghost Arc, 1 for my unit, or 1 for your stratagem. And if I finally still don't have warriors that are not dead yet, you will do it once more in your own command phase, go about your turn, and then do it again in my command phase.
Yep, they do it to overwatch you, and then you just heal models back, you get closer, it's awesome, more models on an objective. You can basically... Just warriors are outstanding. This is why I love warriors, is they always have this extra layer, and it puts them over the top, in my opinion. It's so, so good. You're going to run at least 1 Ghost Arc, and it is a transport, so you need something to start inside of it, so it doesn't auto-die. But that's what the Hexmark can do, because he's an infantry character, or you can just take a 10-man and put Anarchy or Trazyn with it and sticky objectives.
Let me just whine for like 2 more minutes here. So it's not even like a tactic you could use is to like poke the unit of warriors, right? Because then he's not going to want to pop his big Ghost Arc ability with a warrior strat, right? Like, I'll kill 2, and then he won't resurrect. And I'll kill 2, and then he won't resurrect. And I'll kill 2, and eventually I can poke his
Once
unit.
you kill 6, I'm like...
Once I kill 6, I kill 2 more. He's like, you've killed 8. Okay, reanimate 7.
It's going to happen. So, very strong ability. It's synergistic. I'm absolutely going to run a Ghost Arc with these guys. It's powerful. It's very powerful. Yeah. Very, very good. Now, they did put this qualifier in here because they knew somebody like me would be like, wow, why don't I just take more than 1 Ghost Arc? And they did it. The same Necron Warrior unit can't be selected for this ability more than once per phase.
Oh, I'm sorry. So subtract 1 of the 6 instances of healing I mentioned in the last battle round.
Yes.
And use that on a different unit.
Okay. So, the Doom Scythe, it is T9 now. 12 wounds, and doesn't have the invuln, though. It didn't gain the invuln that the other stuff did. But Death Rays, as you'll see, are sustained hits D3. With 3 shots, strength 16, AP4, D6 plus 1. So still pretty darn solid. And then they have the Twin Tesla Destructor, which is just volume of shots, but it's 2 damage instead of 1. And its unique rule is each time the model targets an enemy infantry unit with the death ray, your opponent chooses whether it's going to stand firm, in which case, when you resolve attacks against the unit with that weapon, which is only the death ray, this is a really weird ability, a successful 5 or 6 is a critical hit, so it procs the additional D3. Cool. And if it ducks for cover, then until the start of your next shooting phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, so shooting and combat, they're -1 to hit. So either your enemy unit is -1 to hit, or you're about to proc potentially a bunch of extra D3 shots and just murder their unit.
It really does.
So seems pretty cool. I wish it was on all their weapons, not just the heavy death ray, but still pretty cool. You know I like the Doom Sights at the end of 9th. Night Scythe is at the end of your phase. If there are no models currently embarked in the transport, you select one friendly Necron infantry unit within 6, and as long as it's not in engager range, it can embark. Has a bunch of no-nonsense shooting, and it can fit one Necron infantry unit. So that's whole unit with its crypto thralls, infantry, characters, etc. Just whole thing in there.
Oh boy.
All right.
Getting to the big things now.
Obelisk. Okay, now this is a name you haven't heard in a long time. T14, though, so same as the Monolith, 2-up save, very easy to get cover on this thing. Good luck seeing this thing fully visible with its base, just like towering. 22 wounds, and it's got 8 OC. A bunch of Tesla shots, anti-fly 4+, cool. At the start of your opponent's movement phase, you select one enemy unit with an 18, invisible. Till the end of the phase, -2 of their move, advance, and charge rolls. If they can fly until the start of your next movement phase, roll a d6 each time the unit ends any type of move. And they take on a 4-up, they take D3 mortals. So that's your normal move, that's your charge, that's a pile-in, a consolidate move, all that.
It's OC 8, it's 22, and it just doesn't die.
Yeah.
Does it not have an invul?
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
Neither does the Monolith.
Well, it does have a 2-up save with an easy cover. Super Barat
It's my favorite unit.
For a $2 super chat. Richard, it's your favorite unit.
Silent King is my favorite unit, then Warriors.
Are we about to find out what the Silent King does?
Yes. After the test rifle. Okay, so it's T12 instead of T14, so not quite as tough, but still 2-up save.
Comes with that.
Easy to get cover, and it does get the 4-up invuln, 24 wounds, so 2 additional, and then it has the Tesla spheres. Cool. You pick one of these Catan powers in your shooting phase, only one of them, which is... So you've got one that is... They're all devastating wounds. One is a blast, indirect fire, 24-inch range, 3 plus D6 shots, and that's blast. Hits on 3s, but guess what? They'll take -1 from the indirect penalty if it's out of line of sight, but then if you have the coronal nearby, +1 to hit. Strength 10, AP 3 damage.
Okay.
That's pretty good indirect fire, frankly, but it's 24-inch range, so it has to get towards the middle, which is what it wants to do anyway. Cosmic Fire is ignores cover, dev wounds, torrent, so it's a 3d6 auto-hitting flamer, 18-inch range. Strength 6, AP 2, 1 damage. It's a pretty solid flamer, great Overwatch target.
Yeah.
But it's in your shooting phase that you select it.
This stuff's all going to come down to points. Also.
So you can't use this on Overwatch because it's in your shooting phase. And then Time's Arrow, anti-character, dev wounds, anti-character 4+, precision. It's 24-inch range, 1 shot, hits on 2s, strength 3, AP 2, 6, flat 6.
So basically,
on a 4-up flat 6 mortal.
4-up your character dies.
Yeah.
Cool.
24-inch range. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it is tankier than the Obelisk.
The Monolith!
Monolith. They
Classic.
did preview this bad boy. T14, 2-up save. Only 20 wounds, though, so less than the other 2. The Death Rays, as we saw, sustained hits D3. You can make it have 4 of them. So hits on 3s, the Coronal can make it hit on 2s, and 1 CP, you can make it reroll wounds. Mm-hmm. Strength 12, AP 4, D6 +1, so pretty darn solid anti-tank, frankly. And then you can have the Particle Whip with its blast devastating wounds. Strength 8, AP 1, 2 damage, 3d6 shots. That's not bad at all. And then its combat is okay. It doesn't auto-hit anymore, but it hits on 2s. It has Deep Strike, and then its rule is Eternity Gate. In the reinforcement step of your movement phase, you pick a Necron infantry unit from your army that's in reserves or on the battlefield, and you move it wholly within 6.
Nice.
It just can't be in engagement range, but
I like
no
it.
other restrictions.
Super hard to kill, OCA, it's what a Monolith should do. It teleports some warriors around.
Slow and really hard to move around stuff, but
Yeah.
boy, it can come in from reserve and be annoying.
It's towering.
And it really likes the Sovereign Coronal for that access to reroll wounds.
And the Silent King, Mr. Siegs. Break it down
Okay.
for me.
So, he only moves 7, but he's T10 now, and a 2-up save. and is obviously super easy to get cover on him as well.
Yep.
So he's very tanky, 16 wounds. The Miniers both have 5 each as well. He's 6 OC, each of the Miniers is 1. But if they're near the command barge, he'll be 7, they'll both be 2. The Annihilator beams from the Miniers are 24-inch range, so a bit shorter now. Hit on 2's Strength 14, AP 4, flat 6 damage. And then the Scepter of Eternal Glory, Dev Wounds, 2 shots, Strength 10, AP 3, 3 damage, not bad. And then the Staff of Stars is much improved, it's indirect fire, 12 shots, Strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage.
What the? Why does he have this?
It's only AP 1, so they're going to get the
regular saves.
And it's really hard to ignore cover.
Yeah.
So they're probably just going to get their normal save, which is fine. So it helps chip units down, basically. And his combat has been combined into the Scythe of Dust, which is Nick.
That's me.
Lethal hits.
I am the Scythe.
12 attacks, hits on 2's Strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage. The cool thing here is, once again, you take the Sovereign Coronal, you put it near the Silent King. He counts as being led by a character, so he's +1 to hit, so he's just always hitting on 2s, even if you have a minus. And 1 CP can reroll wounds.
I want to get this guy to explode. He deadly demises D6 +3.
He does explode very dangerously, but no longer on a 4-up. He used to explode on a 4-up, so now it's just the 6. And while a friendly Necron's unit is within 6, his abilities is you pick one of these. It's either reroll 1s to hit and wounds, which is really good for a vehicle-heavy army, or you could go for reroll charges, which is the worst one by far. And then the last one is ignore a 6-inch aura of ignore all modifiers except to your saving throws.
That's really good for certain armies.
Battle shock, leadership, movement, character modifiers to hit and wound, other stuff, minus to damage, minus to your AP. There's rules that reduce the AP characteristics of your weapons. You're like, nope, I ignore that. -1 damage, it reduces my characteristic. Nope, ignore that.
And he makes you pass your battle shock after you failed it.
Yep, once per turn instead of the other guy who's once per battle. So that's pretty cool. But it's only at the end of your command phase. It's not like the other one, which is a little more flexible.
He seems good. He doesn't seem as destructive and all-encompassing as he previously was.
And his auras aren't quite as good as they used to be.
He doesn't also just deny stuff on 4s.
So I expect him to be a bit cheaper, honestly. But he has some very good abilities, and he himself, when he's next to the Sovereign Coronal, is very difficult. Now, the cool thing about him is that he's all the vehicles pretty much are just a single model, and the Undying Legion stratagem only works when you have lost 1 or more models. So you can't use that strat in your opponent's turn on vehicles normally. Silent King, if he loses a Minier, you've lost a model. Activate my reanimation protocols in your turn with Undying Legions, and then go ahead and bring back a Minier.
Right.
Let's just triple check that it's not only infantry.
That'd be crazy if you could just res Miniers like that. They nerfed that out of the game. While you're checking that, we got
just 1 Necron's unit from your army. So you can basically you lose a Minier and you're like, he's back, baby. 1 CP. So you lose the Minier, you activate.
So you can literally use a strat on this thing, and he heals in the command phase as well. So he's just never dying.
Pretty much, yeah. He's so many wounds, and he's going to be sitting on a 1-up with a 4-up invuln. He's just going to tank damage.
Him activating for 5 battle rounds will annihilate everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Relic Scumbag's going to annihilate everything with a $5 super chat. What is the chance we can have a War in Heaven as the first coaching match? What is the War in Heaven?
Aldari versus Necrons.
Oh. Maybe. Could be. What time will tell. We're going to start playing games tomorrow, so you can check in what the War Room is going on with our free 3-day trial going on right here, down below in the description, thewarroom.vhx.tv, where I promise as soon as we get those point values, we're going to be smashing into each other at full speed.
We will be playing so many games, and most of them, we're going to be doing our normal 1 game on YouTube, and then 2 games in the War Room when that time comes, and so you'll be back to having tons and tons of game content.
3 games per week minimum.
Yep. Absolutely. So last thing, Convergence of Dominion. Here we go. It's T11, 2-up save, 10 wounds.
What is this?
This is the fortification that you've never seen.
Okay, I've literally never seen this. I thought I had a pretty good grasp of everything.
It has some random gun that is Strength 6, AP 2, flat 3 damage, 18-inch range, 3 shots.
The trans-dimensional abductor.
Yep. Its rule is that it's a 6-inch aura of reroll and reanimation dice.
Stop. So when you roll a 1 on your D6 or your D3 plus 3 is the ones, you're like, I don't like 1s.
I don't like those ones.
Whatever, you're not going to take
and
this.
And then if you're behind it, you can get cover. It can't move. It literally can't move.
And it's OC 0.
And it's OC 0, but it's a vehicle, so you can shoot into combat with
it. But it adds the reanimation debauchery, and I just hate that.
It totally can. So if it's a cheap fortification, you honestly might take and just sit it there and be like, I'll reroll these.
Well, that's Necrons, everybody. We've been doing live content for 4 days, and we are not done yet. Next up is Yukari, and following that, Leagues of Votan. Mr. C's got a late night ahead of him.
I really do.
He really does.
But man, Necrons are so hyped. There's so much synergy here. You could run a vehicle-heavy army. You could run an infantry-heavy army. You could spam warriors. You could spam Lich Guard. There's so many different options in this book. Almost everything, in my opinion, based on their data sheets, are viable. We'll have to see points tomorrow. But man, am I excited about this book. So many good synergies.
I'm going to need all the D-cannons to fight this.
Fantastic.
Yeah, 40k is wild. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. Do us a favor and like the video. Leave a comment telling us what you thought about Necrons, what you think about warriors. How do you plan on defeating these warriors? I really am looking for ideas here. And also, let us know what you thought about Mr. Siegs. He's wonderful.
I'm wonderful. I am going to be your overlord coming soon.
And Nemesis Nick, we love to hear that stuff.
Nick will try out his flayed ones. I'm going to play all the good stuff.
If you're interested in actually learning what the good stuff is and learning the game and becoming your best, you can check out our description below for the 3-day free trial of the Worm. That is, again, where you get access to our amazing Discord community where we have so much buzz talking about now all these different factions that are going out, and soon to be even more hype with the points. Following that, we're going to be releasing so many games, and then not only the games, but the 10-minute tips and all the tactical insights and the strategy sessions and the coaching match recaps, all that stuff that teaches you how to learn the game and become your best.
And those state of the factions where you're going to have all the lists we've been trying out, all the things that have been refined and we think are the optimal, that's coming towards the end of the month into next month.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned for that.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you very shortly for the Yukari video.
So long, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and can't wait to see what you say in the comments. So long for now.